And so, 3rd of November is already over. Black Friday is just around the corner. Then the craziness of December. Can you believe it? It's 2020. Hi, this is JP here at Websites for Beginners. And before we get all nostalgic over the years gone by, let's look at this week's Better Design. And this is what we're going to do today. And you're going to tell me, didn't we do this before? And yes, we are doing another hero banner, but it's different. And I want you to start seeing the differences because this is what's going to make you a better designer. Instead of doing the same thing exactly again and again, when you move from one site to the next site, you have that library in your head where you can do things differently. Let me show you what is exactly the same and then what is changing here. Going to grab my selector over here. Now, what do we have here in the middle? This is our main title or our heading. And basically every hero banner has this. You can have it all by itself, or you can have it with a subheading and with a button that gives you a call to action. We did that before. This time though, we are putting up here what is referred to in the world of journalism a kicker. It's something to kick you awake and get your attention. Let's call it an above heading. I like that. It's above the heading. What is important though to note about this little one up here is it's a heading. It is not a sentence. So it also has to remain short. Whenever you throw another heading that is lesser, but on top of the main heading, it has to remain short. It has to be shorter than this one. So this is what is different. We've not worked with a kicker or an above heading before. And this is where we're going to do that today. And it's as simple as that. Then we have our button again here. And remember what we've talked about the button. A button makes you click on it. And when you click on it, you take an action. That's why anything like a button is called a call to action, a CTA. It invites your user to do something on your site. There isn't basically a hero banner today without a call to action anymore. So it is a hybrid. Why do we still call it a hero? Because originally in magazine layouts, you didn't have buttons. You couldn't rip out a piece of paper and something would happen after you did that in a magazine. And that is where the idea of a hero comes from, was from the print and the press and the world of magazines. We're going to do that and then we're going to turn it into this one over here for our Better Design number 4. Let's see what we've done here. We've put an image again in the back. And instead of putting an overlay across the entire image, we've only put an overlay over this area here. So we've used a column or a row or a container inside. We've put all our elements, this heading, second heading, and then our button inside that, and we applied that overlay. This is a very nice effect. Question, are you ready? Why did we apply an overlay? Right? And the answer is because if we didn't, we will have this white text here on a light background. There won't be enough contrast and it won't work. So I think by now you're starting to understand there are two concepts to good design that comes through all the time. And that's another question. Do you know the two? I've just talked about contrast, dark and light on dark or dark on light. And the second one, do you remember? Right? White space. Giving space so that you can give structure and that you can draw focus. I've said this now a few times in previous episodes. I'll mention it again, so don't get too bored. And I hope that you can start applying it because really the most common mistakes that we see online is contrast and also the spacing. Let's go and build this one out in a jiffy. Go into our page builder. Let's bring in new building area and then we give it the background. And the color that we've been working with is this one, 38, 38, 38. Apply some padding to the top. This time we'll go with 140 to 140. And you see me always dragging it. It depends on your page builder. Some can drag. If you cannot drag it, you go into the settings and you go set it up over there. Don't feel sad if you cannot drag it. It's just how different page builders work. Then let's restrict the content width again. I'm going to delete one of these columns, only work with one column. And remember, when we bring in the image, we're going to apply an overlay to this column as well. The width is set to 100% for the column. Let's put it down to 80% this time. And we're going to have our kicker, which is a text element. Then we're going to have our main heading. And I'm going to bring in a spacer because I already know I'm going to put some space between my main heading and that button. And that button comes in over here. Let's select the first one, highlight everything, and we use some lorem ipsum text, put it on white. And then from here we start the styling. I'm going to use Poppins again this time. And every time I say Poppins, I'm actually so scared that my plosives from my mouth is going to be so hard it's going to pop here on the microphone. Let's put this on a gentle 20, not too dominant. And then from here we're going to increase it a little bit, the weight. I'll put it on medium, and we don't need, remember, it's a heading, so we don't need the line height. We can take that down to 1. Let's center align it quickly, and then if you look at it, what do you see? It isn't that easy to read. Poppins is a very narrow face type. So what that means is that there is very little space between these letters. So when it comes to Poppins, if you're going to use it in headings, it's a good idea, the smaller it becomes, to give it a little bit of letter spacing. So I'm going to go and increase this and increase it to 5. I've heard once on a YouTube tutorial somebody say, well, photographers always do this. They always make it like this. And you see it in videography also all the time. This is a very nice, clean design to put some letter spacing in there. And in fact, you can even go wild and take it up to 10, 15, and it's still going to look pretty good. So when you go with all caps, everything is in capital letters, small letters, and a thin. You see the lines are thin. Adding letter space really puts that, futuristic, almost very travel-like experience on it. I'm throwing in adjectives there, which I'm sure doesn't make any sense for what we are trying to do there. That is our kicker. It's our above heading, and we've done it. Let's go to our main heading, select all the text, and again, we're going to paste some lorem ipsum text. And lorem ipsum text, remember, just some standard placeholder text. Let's put it on white. Go to our typography and put it also on Poppins. This time I'm going to increase it to 40. And then let's put it on bold. Bold. And because it's going to break into 2 lines, if I reduce my line height all the way to 1, it looks a little bit cramped. It looks like you were in a rush. So we're going to add a little bit of space there, not too much. Go back to 1.7 and you see this is too much space. It doesn't look like the 2 are connected. And that is the problem if you only have 2 lines. If you have that much space with 2 lines, it looks like 2 subtitles or 2 main titles. It doesn't look connected. And that's why we reduce the space for titles like this if we only have 2 lines. Then letter spacing. No. For this one, I'm going to keep it this squashed. I like that effect. I'm just going to center align it. What about our spacer? Let's put our spacer on 20 pixels and go style our button. Now you would have seen the button that I had shown at the beginning of this video. We work with rounded corners. I like sharp corners, but rounded corners is a very common thing that you find on sites. And it also gives a certain kind of feeling to your website. So depending on if you're a law firm, for example, I will say you go with sharp corners. Pharmacist, for some reason, when you think of pharmacist, you think of capsules, you think of pills, you go with round corners. You see, you have to also think whether you want to have sharp corners or round corners. Just take note that in many page builders and in the WordPress editor or many places, corners are actually called border radius. So you have your border and apply the radius will make those corners go round to what we refer to as round. Let's go style it over here. I'm going to put it on the small one. Let me see if I do this. This will take out the fill, so we already have that. And then I click here on corner. It gives me the rounded corners. So I've got that, and I will remove the icon. Let's just change the text first. What did we say? Latest news. Call it latest news. And we also put that on Poppins. I think I want to increase the size here to 14 and semi-bold. These settings, I think they are fine. Then we style our background. Background, no background. That's where we want to keep it. Text on white, but the border, we want to put it on white as well. Then for the hover effect, what we want is when you hover over it, the background is a tint of white. And then we have the letters. Go to our 3838, our swatch for that one. So I click on the background here, put it on white, reduce the opacity. And then for the text here, I will put that on our frame 3838. And then for the border, I'm going to take the border away. Let's click out here and see if that works. It works well, except I think the background is a little too transparent. So I'm just going to go there again to my background and that's more, remember contrast, right? If it doesn't look good, contrast, almost a guarantee. Done. We're done, except we have to go check on our tablets and on our phones. Let's see on the tablet first. I like the 3 lines. The kicker here at the top, now it doesn't look too good. Now that you have that limited space, and the reason it doesn't look good is because it is wider, you see, than it is here. Let me see if I can grab my drawer here. Here is the area that my kicker is covering, and here is the area that my main heading is covering. And I told you, if you have a kicker like this, it cannot go wider than your main heading. It looks wrong. So that is why this looks like it does. So to fix it, you either need to make your main heading wider or you need to make your kicker narrower. And for that, I'm just going to take out some of this letter spacing because now it doesn't look good. So I'm going to reduce it. Okay, that was a default setting. And I want to reduce the weight here. So it's currently set on medium. If I put it on light, it looks better. You see? Tablet, just a little bit different. But I'm going to leave my main heading. I think the 3 lines are fine. Connects very well. And if I click outside, we need probably a little bit more padding. Let's put a little bit there. 70. And then 70. One thing I want to tell you, especially when it comes to the tablet especially, every time I will practice these designs beforehand, and sometimes weeks ago I would have made my journal and I would have worked on them because I've got so many of them. And how I do them on the desktop is very standard. I have a specific way of doing it. I know what to do and I apply standard padding. And after that, once I do it on the website, I will start maybe more add more padding, change a few things. But when it comes to the tablet, I find that every time I come to a tablet view, I do it slightly different. You're never going to get a hard and fast rule in how to do it. And you need to allow yourself some room to be a little bit flexible and creative. Let's go look at our mobile display. Doesn't look good here, but I know this one. We just need to first fix the letter spacing. And I'm going to reduce the size as well for the mobile. Put it also on light. And now, yeah, that's fine. Gonna leave that. And then I'm dragging in how much? Let's make it 130. There we go. And remember, there's actually no difference between 130 pixels and 129 pixels, except if you're like me and you care about each and every pixel. That's our work. We've done it. Tablet, on desktop. Let's save our work and then we go view it on the front end and test it with our mobile devices to see if it does translate the way it should look on the various phones and tablets. Let's activate our developer mode so we can have a look at that. Let's use a Samsung Galaxy. It's got a very, very narrow display at, I think it's 360 pixels. Yes, let's see how that looks. It's a little too much. You see, and this is, and you will wonder, but it looked good in the page builder. Why does it look different here? And that is because the page builder may be set at 400 pixels or something a little bit wider. That is why it's very good to go and do the testing. You can do it in Chrome, you can do it in Edge. You just press F12 on your keyboard and then you select the tab options. It's going to do exactly the same for you. So we know we have to make some changes here. I'm going to leave this open, go back, and here in our page builder, we go to our mobile. And what I will do then here, you can see probably why that happened. It's all squashed here just nicely in, so there's very little room to move. First, I'm going to reduce it to something like 32. And I think already with that, we've applied some space there. Let's update that. And then we go to the front and do a refresh. Let me just wait for that. Control F5. And there. That's how we solved that one. A few tweaks. People forget about this all the time, and then it doesn't look good on the mobile devices. Let's see on our friend Mr. iPad. And for iPad, also look at the landscape view. And on a small computer or a laptop, well, no problems there. So, honky-dory, our displays look good. We've set up a very nice hero banner. Let's go add an image to this one. Just close this. And we go to desktop, bring in our image. Let's duplicate this before I do that. Duplicate. I'm gonna just add a block here to give us some space so we can see what's going on. Bring in an image for the background. And actually, I just want to show you, I had originally selected this image. Let me show you first this image. Let's take away the overlay. And this was the image I had originally worked with. And the reason I'm laughing while I'm saying it, this looks to me like some sinister plan here. Yeah, man, we got that guy. We screwed him out of all his money. So I decided this one is not a good idea. It doesn't look like teamwork for me at all. Where is the one that I went for instead? Over here. Okay, hands come together. All united. We all stand together. Dum dum. Right, so all we need to do is we have to apply contrast. Same issue that we ran into last week. If you decide you want to change your text and you want to make your text dark by clicking it, it's still not going to work because your image has got high contrast areas. You've got white and you've got dark. So you do need to apply an overlay to it. Let me take that and put it back on white. So the first one you can do is you go to the image overlay here and you apply an overlay for the image. And let's apply our 3838 like so. And ta-da, it works. Perfect, right? So that's the first one you can do for the whole image. But to make it look a little bit, I almost want to say corporate, let's take this away. And instead of applying the overlay to the entire area, we go to our column and we apply a color or a background to our column, like so. And then we reduce the opacity for that. And that looks great. The only thing is, remember, you still need the same concept of padding now, because now you've put a border here on your column at the top, and these two elements, the one at the top and the one at the bottom, they are too close to those borders. It looks wrong. So now you go into your settings for that column and you apply the padding at the top, increase that, and at the bottom. And I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm not even looking at the number in the settings over here. I'm looking at it with my eye. So you have to start trusting your eyes. Sometimes you will be like, I'm now at 55 pixels and I think, whoa, that's too much. But it still doesn't look good to me if I don't do that. So I'll keep increasing that. The other thing I'm going to do, again, that little trick, is I want to draw a color from the background. Instead of using my 3838, I want to use a dark color from within the image so that it can style well with that. I click here on my color pick eyedropper extension, and then I'm going to go here where it's dark. I know it's not going to be 100% black. It's going to be a little bit dark brown, and I click on that, and then I copy that color, go back to my column, and here I'm going to paste that color. Now it looks much better. Do you see how that blends in? The color scheme just works. Beautiful. Let's update and save this. Go view it on the front end because we have to see whether this image also looks good on all the devices. Choose our favorites. Let's start with our small laptop in this case. Oh, it looks good. I like it. Mr. Laptop, are you going to catch up with us anytime soon? I will. Right. So even looking at from a distance and see that little laptop over there, let's make it bigger. It really displays pretty well. It's very corporate. The thing that we have to do maybe is make sure that our center point is set on their hand so that it will remain here in the middle. Let me just see that. Go back to our image. And I'm going to grab this focus point here. Okay, I see. It's because the image isn't fully centered, so I will do that for like that. Okay. That will bring it in better into the middle for us. Let's reload this as well. Go to our Samsung Galaxy. Right. And here you see we have to go back and apply padding because we've applied that, but we didn't apply any padding to that. Very good that we come and check. So we have to do it for all of these guys. Let's do that, and then we're almost done. You can go enjoy your Saturday. I go to the column and I'm going to apply padding to the top and padding to the bottom. And then I'll go over to my mobile. And in this case, I will need to apply padding all around, not only to the top. I'll also have to apply some padding to the top. And that means we may have to make some changes. This is margin. What am I messing around with? The margin. I want to go to padding. Let me mess around with the padding instead. There we go. And for cell phone display, you have to add sufficient space there. And I'm going to add padding on the sides of 25. I know 25, I'm going to be safe. I believe so. Let me just type that in again. 25. Right. In fact, I think to give it that cell phone look, let's go back and apply more padding to the top. What is that? 85, so I'm going to do it for the bottom as well. Oh, I'm playing again with the sides. That was 25. Let me take it back. Ooh. Right. Don't get lost. Stay focused. Good. And if it gets too long for your cell phone display, you can narrow a little bit here. Right. And we tweaked it. The problem that I see even with myself is when it comes to tablets and cell phones, we get lazy. We design something spectacular for our desktop, and then when we run into those small little nagging areas for the different displays, we get lazy and we don't want to go and fix it. It's something that you will learn how to do. Go back, invest that extra time in it to make sure that if somebody accesses your site on their tablet, and it doesn't matter how they look at it on their tablet or on their phone, it's going to look okay. And we can still go and reduce a little bit of the size here or increase the area over here. But we've done a pretty good job, Nigel. It's time for us to go and enjoy our Saturday. Thanks for supporting us here at Websites for Beginners. Hope you have a lovely day. Please stay tuned for the next episode, which is of course next week, and on Sundays for better images. This is JP. Goodbye.